Hi there, welcome to a new episode of Searching for Sparks. I'm Tim Motzer, and today we have our special guest, David Torn, who I'm bringing on right now. Welcome, David.
Hey, can you see me? Oh, you can. It works.
You are seen.
I'm seen, and I'm. Wait. Did you say obscene or seen?
I said seen.
Okay.
Dude, how are you?
I'm pretty scattered.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Not in a bad way. Just in a running around the house of this country way. Just running around the house and a couple of few like leave for the airport at 2:30 in the morning vibes.
Got
Right?
it.
You
Yeah.
get a couple of those in 1 week. Well,
Yeah.
I get those, and I have no idea what fucking day it is. I have no idea I don't know. Even if I have a calendar, I don't know which day to look at.
Yeah.
Wait, that can't be right. What day
Yes.
is today?
Dude.
Yes.
So, exciting times for you. There's a couple things I wanted to kick off with. Number one is you have a brand new record out, and that's really exciting.
I think
right?
the official release date was the 29th or something like that. And we're 29th of May. I think that was the actual release date, although I had some on the road with me, and really I sold them all.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I sold them all. There was a small tour, as you know, it's like 6-8 dates, something like that. But it was a little shocking to me to just, and I probably gave away a few as well on the path when I had them.
Yeah.
It was really unfortunate that and in fact, I have only one of them here at home right now. So I'm hoping that I hope we increase the number at the gig in Brooklyn on the 24th and the 25th.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
I need to refresh.
That's at the Roulette, right?
That's at Roulette. I think the actual opening night, the 24th, is going to be. It'll probably be fucking loud.
What amps are you bringing?
I think I'm going to do what I had on the Sun show,
Yeah.
which was except I'm going to bring one of the Benson heads. I think I'm going to bring one of the Benson heads. What I did at the Sun show in New York was I used my Sound City 50-watt head, but had two cabinets for it. So there were actually three 12-inch speakers on stage, and Randall Dunn was mixing. So
Nice.
It was really, really solid, and like everything was at like kind of the perfect volume to introduce you to the Sun show, which really what it was about, right?
Absolutely.
So I was really pleased with that. It was done so well. I'll probably do something similar, but I think I'll bring one of the Benson heads and continue the three 12-inch speaker things. I'll bring a Sound City 2x12 or my old. Where's that old thing? Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it.
I see the heads.
Oh yeah, you see the silver heads?
Yeah.
Okay, so underneath it, you see the upright cabinet that's got it's got some funny colors and stuff. I can make it look brighter.
Yeah, that's a cool cab.
Yeah, do you remember that cab?
Yeah.
That was my main cab for maybe 12, 14 years or something.
Wow.
And it's got two old, just to veer off into Gearland, it's got two old Vox Alnico Blues in it. and that were matched very well together. And the cabinet is pine, and
Wow.
I in a way I wish that my Benson 3x10 Bandmaster cabinet wasn't. It got messed up somehow. It's got a crack in it somewhere. But because I love, especially doing feedback, I love the whole vibe of having the amplifier built into the cabinet where the speakers and the power section reside, so that when I go to do feedback and get into long, um, like extensive play with feedback, I can just, if I just touch the top of the tip of the headstock of the guitar onto that cabinet that is holding both speakers and the electronics,
Yeah.
especially the transformers of the tube amplifier. The feedback thing is it. Then the guitar just it goes into, it takes me into this other universe of how I'm playing
Yes.
completely. And I can find pieces where that actually are extended pieces of music where that's pretty much all I did. And I played on 3 or 4 records where no one wanted any kind of normal playing from me at all. They just wanted me to use feedback in order to sample it and reuse it as something compositional for
Yeah.
their own work. So
Well, I
I,
think,
I really love that vibe of like
yeah.
you are the amplifier. We think we normally, like us guitar players who play for this long, you think of yourself as you are your guitar, but that thing switches you over. That whole thing of like actually physically connecting to the feedback loop, and you can not only hear it, you're feeling it in your body.
Yeah.
Really is like a whole it's a different universe. It's one that still intrigues me every time I touch it.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting. Like one of the bands I think about where you use this process is Sonar,
Mm.
which I think to an amazing effect. I think the marriage there is fantastic with their music and your feedback and some of the sonic elements that you were putting in. And it makes me think of like, are you thinking of this as sonic sculpture in a way?
I don't, but I know the feeling of shaping it.
Hmm.
This, it's like you when you're feeling the shape of it. But I still think of I really I have this weird connection in which I think when I'm doing something well that the music is more like a poem than anything else I
Okay.
know in the arts, and is often an excuse for me to never explain what I'm doing,
Yes.
because it's a poem. You can read it the way you want to read it.
You see it as a story. Could we say that?
I think sometimes, and I don't really necessarily know what the story is, uh,
Right.
but I had this experience in Colombia. Actually, it happened twice on that little tour. But this woman was very, very moved by what Son of Goldfinger was playing, and she immediately approached me after the set was over and told me the story of what she felt throughout. And she said, but don't take this in any other way but this. But I felt this story brewing, and I realized that I was sitting on the stairway out in the hallway of the venue, and this whole story came through my mind. And when it stopped, I literally I have never experienced anything like that before, is basically what she said to me. And I went,
Yeah.
I went, holy shit, really? Well, I mean, I don't know. That's so cool. I love that idea, Um, having been involved in film scoring for so many years, um, and although that's kind of on the that it's not so regular anymore as it was for quite a
Yeah.
long time. I do connect with story. I always want to read a script. If a
Hmm.
director wants to hire me, I want to read a script first. If I could, you usually can't see the film because they haven't shot or finished or edited or whatever yet.
Yeah.
Uh, but I always walk in wanting to know the story that it is, and I never think of that when I'm playing from my own improvisational slash compositional point of view. I never think about the story. I have
Yeah.
to. I take. You know me. I take like days to name shit. You know, because I always want it to feel like, okay, this at least represents something about whatever the fuck happened. You know, right? That's how I think of titles. It needs a connection that's real and is not a clever word. Not I don't really love clever wordplay in titling. I like it when it's clever, but I know that it has meaning for whomever is saying it. You know
Your
who
your titles are poetic, and the name of your new album, Now I Imagine a Place Not the Same.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, it pretty much says it all.
Yeah.
There were a couple of like odd experiences there's a track on there, and I think it's called, what is it? Like Dead Cold Shock of Illusion. I had one of those moments in my life, happen sometimes, where everything stopped, where everything just seemed to I just became like very alone, right?
Yeah.
Not lonely, but just very alone. Everything stopped, and I'm looking at something physical in front of me through my window, and in my mind, to my mind came up, that's all an illusion. And it came like cold water on me, like it was like somebody threw cold water on me. Didn't know what to do, didn't want to talk to anybody, kind of walked around the property to like not walk it off, but just kind of absorb whatever the fuck that was, which was like really, it was like really like uh, I guess you would say segregating or isolating
Mm.
for a minute. It of course expanded into something like much more relaxed, but so there's a piece on the record where I knew as soon as I played the piece, and as soon as I listened to it for the first time, I went, okay, I got this title.
Wow.
I
It's
know
a
what
heavy title.
I know what this is about.
Do you
Uh,
get a sense of place in your music?
yeah, I think so. I think especially since the beginning of the pandemic, when I started that deep dive into my family tree, and
Oh yeah.
we started to find out where people really came from, who they really were, and getting much closer to stories that no one on either side of my family told while they were alive.
Mm.
So, all grandparents, great grandparents, discovered so many things. So, in a way, I started using that knowledge to kind of ground myself a little bit, to go, okay, these are my roots. They are odd, but this is what it is. And you just kind of go, all that material that I finished with, that stuff with Matt Mitchell and the stuff that I haven't released yet, the big record with the crazy, everybody, I'd have there'd be these huge improvisational sections that I might give notes on, maybe a little bit. It was very easy because everybody was a better player than me. You just just say the right words and 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 I think from that period of time, I ended up with, I don't know, a few hours of music based on taking this deep dive into looking at who my family really were. Who were they? Where did they live? How did that guy get here? And why does he have so many names? All these amazing kind of things. So placement became more important to me even than before. My wife and I, Linda and I, tried to isolate. One of my great uncles was alive, and he knew a lot about the family that was in Romania that no one else ever talked about. And we went to visit him and his wife as they were in their declining years. They both passed within 3 or 4 years of this thing. We went down to meet them at their home in Florida, and he knew all this stuff. He knew which city people were from. Wow. He knew that my great grandmother was a kidnap from a Roma camp to a Jewish camp outside of the city of Yash. He knew this story that's where she came from. She was initially Roma. The Jews and the Roma that were outside the city of Yash, because they were not allowed to enter it, right? They battled for the closest ground to the closest ground to the city, that they get as close as you can, and they would fight with each other by stealing their female children from each other.
Jeez.
And my uncle, whose English name was Harry, my great uncle, he said, and that's where she comes from, and that's why she speaks so many languages, and that's why she dresses that way. And because I was always frightened to death of this woman, right? No, not nary an English word. She came into the United States. She must have come into the United States in 1880, late 80s,
wow.
1880s or something like that. Decided she would never speak English, and she never did.
Wow.
And she was one of those tiny little women who wore 5 skirts and 10 pairs of pants at the same time, and very colorful, right? And so all of that stuff, all the things that were discovered, came together during that beginning of the pandemic, because both Linda and I were digging into our family trees, and I got pretty far, further than we thought. That's it. The Goldfinger thing, son of Goldfinger, which is a story I like to tell because it's true, is that Tim and I were on the phone. You remember the first gig? You were there. The first
Tim Berne, yes.
Yeah, Tim Berne and Chess Smith. It was the first time that I played with the two of them together.
That was in Brooklyn, right?
Brooklyn in 2020, was it? No, sorry. 2010. 2009 or 2010.
You had just come back from LA, I think.
I came in just to play a gig that paid no money, yes. Just to play, because I found my life in LA as a player pretty frustrating. I just, I was always working on a film, but never performing.
Right. You were busy.
And Tim was always, come on, man, you gotta just come over. You can do it. You don't have to bring everything. Just let's do this. And of course that was kind of a great period of time, a turning point in time. But we were on the phone together, and he said, "So you're coming?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And he gave me the address and told me where it was, and I had no idea where it was. Even though I could see it. And I set it up, and we got on the phone, and he's like, "Well, we got to call it something." And I said, "We have to call it something." Yeah. I'd like to have a band name. And we went through like hyper bunches of like bullshit over the phone, just like word salad soup, like terrifying, like way too many words, none of them good. And Tim Berne goes, "What about that amp that guy Reinhold made for you?" I said, "Yeah, which one? You remember this?" And he goes, "Yeah, the thing that's called Goldfinger. How about that as a name?" And I went, "Goldfinger's a good name." And but I don't think it's enough. I think people will think we think we're spies or something.
James Bond.
Yeah, James Bond, Ian Fleming, Sir Ian Fleming.
Sir.
And I just kind of went, that's kind of cheesy. And I said, "Son of Goldfinger." And he said, "No, that's really cheesy." And I said, "No, not son with an O, son with a U." And Tim went, "Oh, that's pretty okay." So that was 2009 or something like that.
Wow.
2010. And 10 years later, 8 years later, some period of time that was a lot. Some big space later, I was in the ancestry thing, and I found, unbelievably, a family of my cousins who lived in Izmir, Turkey, which used to be called, European name was, Smyrna, right? The Greek word for the city was Smyrna, but it was Izmir in Turkey, and the whole family has the name Goldfinger. And
No way.
I flipped out. At the time, I sent everybody in the band. I sent my sister, my grandchildren, my sons. I sent everybody in this note, Tim and Chess. And I'm like, "Dude, I am related to Goldfinger." So, and it was another trigger for the family thing, because what is a person whose name is Goldfinger? Okay, so if you think about it, Turkic language and Germanic culture language are kind of, they kind of go together somehow. There was a lot of interplay between the cultures. But what are these people whose name is Goldfinger doing in Izmir? Like, what the hell, dude? I went nuts. I was like, how could this happen? It named my band and we didn't know it.
That's insane.
It's insane. It was really dumb. I got way overexcited about it,
So all this delving back, family, ancestry, what kind of insight ultimately did you get from that?
Well,
or how did it affect you?
It affected me a lot, because I always knew that there was a mess in there somewhere, like a mess of people, like not in a bad way, but a mess of people. But it was confirmation of that, but in a much bigger way than I thought, because there were not only multiple religions, there were multiple races, and there were people who were just so different from each other, and they were all of them, every one of them, even the Romanian side, there were these were all people from the East, and they were from the East as recently as the middle 1800s.
Wow.
And before I found out that my great grandfather, who's not a white man, and was never spoken about in one corner of my family until Linda and I uncovered a really beautiful picture of him and his children as they entered the United States for the first time.
Wow.
It's like some pretty mind blowing stuff, and
Yeah.
I have to say that I feel like this has affected my not only my approach to music, but also on the solo side of things. I feel like it's affected my guitar playing a lot in
Wow.
in these days. You know, my dad, when I were sitting, my mom had passed away, and my dad and I were sitting in front of his, like, he had one of those huge motherfucking TVs with, like, he probably had like 10,000 channels when most people had 12 or something.
Yeah.
Like, he really liked the thing. And we're sitting there, and we're going through all these channels and drinking whiskey and just going through all these channels. And he's doom scrolling on the TV, and he stops on this Turkish folk orchestra, uh, and I'm like like a concert band, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, and my dad switches it, and I go, dude, stop, go back to that. I don't want to watch that other crap. I want to watch that. We watch it for a few minutes. There's a little focus on the oud players, and my dad, for the first time in his life, says to me, "Oh God, that's why you love all that weird shit, that thing you play." Right. Like I said, weird thing. And he goes, the thing with all the strings and the oval shape. I said, what do you mean that's why? And he said, well, your family came from my mother's family came from North Africa, and then the north of Spain into Turkey in like 1492 or well, no, the year after the year of the that horrifying Catholic Church coming down on Spanish people who weren't Catholic. I forget what they called that. There's some year like that. So basically, he was saying this is where your people come from.
Wow.
My side, this is where we come from. Across the top of Africa, into southern Spain, over to Turkey, and then the leaking through of people into Western Europe. And you kind of go, well, it was just like when another one of the, and I called Linda right away and said, my dad just pulled this weird number on me. Like, I mean, is he drunk? Is he telling the truth? And the fact is, it was only maybe like 2 or 3 years later where we found the picture of my great grandfather bringing his children into the United States.
Wow.
He left them in the United States, and I don't know when he left them, but then entered the United States again, like something like a year and a half later. And my sensibility said, okay, this is not a white guy, and he has multiracial kids, and he has moved his family to Albany, New York, 30 miles from where I actually live.
Wow. Dude.
Right? Like, so, and wait, how could he possibly have pulled this off? as not a white person in upstate New York, and you just go, well, this is like impossible. And the only solution that I had was when I found the second entry into his second entry without children into the United States. I realized the guy must have been loaded. He must have had like tons of money.
Hmm.
How would you survive in America in 1880 or 1877 or whatever it was? Um, how does a family like that survive then? If if in America now, people now think that's weird,
Hmm.
like 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 or there's something wrong with it or whatever, and and these things, like, I don't know, they kind of sit with you. Um,
I would imagine that, finding all that information out makes you understand yourself in a sense, why you
I,
have certain tendencies or the way
I
you feel about things.
Yeah, Tim. I actually, not to make this a therapy session, but I kind of feel like everything. Well, that one comment that he made. That's why you like that stupid
Yeah,
with the oval and the strings.
that was a doorway.
My dad was like, I don't know. He couldn't have been more than like 5'3", 5'4". Very, very small guy, very loud, great singing voice,
Wow.
uh, out of his mind. And, I don't know, I just carried all the stuff with me. And I thought I leaned into everything Eastern when I was like 14 or 15 years old, not knowing, not having any feeling about the why, and I had various feelings about those feelings. Like, okay, so I'm not trying to be exotic, but I really love this.
Exactly.
I love Indian Kalmak, how Northern Indian Kalmak and Persian music and Turkish music,
Yeah.
and I've loved it for a long time. I loved when I discovered that the most important thing to me on playing guitar was control of my pitch, and that I liked pitches that were not in tune with pianos. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a
Hmm.
thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is huge, and so, like, I always feel like, and I've been east quite a bit, and I feel, and I've been in a lot of countries, not enough across the north of Africa. I really regret that I missed going to Morocco for this fantastic wedding uh, a bunch of years ago. I feel like I missed it, you know. And I'm not traveling for fun these days, not so much. I'm traveling for music, you know. So
Really interesting conversation. And I think from my point of view, I've always heard that in your music from the very earliest records that I ever listened to of your work. And I think the first time I heard you play was probably on David Sylvian's record, Secrets of the Beehive.
yeah, by around 1980, 84, 83, 84, it was my epiphany about how strongly I felt about controlling my pitch,
Hmm.
and that led back to some singing lessons that I took when I lived in India, in two different places, and a lesson that I took with an unknown violinist. And I think, I don't know. It really does make sense to me to kind of feel like I know, not necessarily who I am, but
Hmm.
but where this came from, and
Exactly.
I do use like justification of that stuff, and I use the justification of my dad, who was for when he stopped in the middle period of his employed life, he was designing stereo amplifiers and power supplies for Harman Kardon hi-fi systems, and he brought home so much music, and so much of it was percussive music because he
Wow.
testing systems for um, for frequency response, for speed of attack of notes, for transients, how transients would come through on a given system with a given amplifier. He went real deep on this stuff, and there was music all the time in the house, all the time, every
Yeah.
kind of music that even remotely had a melody or a rhythm was going to be played in the house at some point. Lots of Broadway crap, stuff. A lot of it, most of it, not crap, honestly, um,
Yeah.
but some crap, some like really cheesy stuff. But I think it's kind of, I don't know. I was frightened and bored at the beginning of the pandemic, and I just that was a deep dive for me.
Yeah.
And I did, and really, I'm going to release that music one day as a whole, because it's a suite, and it really, everything really works together, and it's the place where I decided that I was part of that music is categorized in my writing and arranging, as they are clock fuckers. There are I have a I have lost poems, and then I have clock fuckers. And the clock fuckers, the mixture of those two things together is what really, really excites me about that period of time that I haven't played for anybody except my friends like you and all the musicians that were on it. But I'm gonna get that released.
That'll be cool.
I
Yeah.
really want to have that released because it really is. It's so it's like hardworking personal. I worked hard to have it represent how I felt during that period. The shock of seeing people, and the, the, just all the connections that were made. It's pretty cool.
One of the things I love about this conversation is it really makes you think about, as a musician, why you play like you do, or why you make the musical choices you do, or why you feel what you feel when you play. And are these things authentic in your DNA, or are they a product of listening to lots of music, or are they all the above and all those things? It's really interesting.
I think so too. You do. I do. I went through a period of, okay, am I culture slumming somehow because I was born in America, and I'm clearly an American, and this is what I know. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
although my language skills aren't terrifyingly bad. They're pretty bad, but not, and they're pretty broad. I learned just I took Latin and
Wow. Hmm.
French in school by choice, um, and I have some other languages too that I can get around in a little bit, and you just kind of go, well, what do we do? We make music. That's what we do. Us musicians, we make it, so we should know that we need to, I guess the common language would say, we need to know that we need to own what we do, why
Mm.
we do it. And if it's mysterious to us,
Hmm.
that it's actually worth looking at. It doesn't mean judging yourself. It means
Yeah.
looking at where you're coming from, and find those things that I don't know why I do this. Okay, but maybe you do. You
Mm-hmm.
know, maybe you do know why. Maybe it's not cultural. Maybe it's some experiences that you've had in life that none of your other friends have had.
Yeah.
So it's hard for you to verbalize. And I, not being a lyricist, I feel strongly that personal representation is everything to people like you and me. You have to be you. You you have to be more you than you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted to be Alan Holdsworth for 25 minutes. I
Right.
wanted to be Abercrombie for an hour.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Miles Davis. But what I am is what I have to give.
Absolutely.
And I think I think it's really, you know, you and I, we're guitar players. We think a lot. We have a lot of like philosophical approaches to things, and it's not normal in guitar playing. We are, no matter what, we're going to be in some way outsiders to
Mm.
something that is seen as more systemic, right? And,
Mm.
and music that's more systemic, a cultural vibe that's more systemic, something, but we can't go there because we have to be committed to being who the fuck we are. It's and that's very hard to get across to. There are students who you meet who you know you're going to affect and it's going to be really good for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are students that you meet whom you know that it's going to take them a really long time to get to the place where they need to be who they are. And it's really painful to do. And
Mm-hmm.
it, and, and it takes everything that it takes pretty much your everything to do it. Not for the novelty of it, but for the sincerity of the music. That which is a really big marker point for me. Like man, the people we know that play meaningful music, and you hear them, and they're your friends, and they play something, and you go, "Oh man, I totally feel that." And
Yeah.
now I'm going to disappear into it because it's freeing. You know, these things don't go over on the gear page very well. Um,
I love the word sincerity.
well, right? It's like you can be really cynical in music. You can be really cynical. You can be really sarcastic and really cynical. But when it comes down to it, if your shit isn't sincere, no matter what you do or say to other people, then you've really, I feel like you've lost it.
That's right.
you know,
I agree. Yeah.
like is it really so hard for people for guitar players to stop playing all of the tropes, all of the, not that they're not amazing, not that they're not beautiful, but can't you find a way more quickly to really make it your own if you were committing yourself to playing an instrument for the rest of your life, writing for an instrument for the rest of your life? Can you not just stop and think, I don't really need to play the Stevie Ray Vaughan licks.
Yeah.
I know them. I copped them. I know what they do, and they're awesome. But that was Stevie Ray Vaughan, or that was Albert King,
Albert King is what I was going to say.
or or,
There you go.
or anyone else that isn't you. You
Yeah.
know, like and 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 I don't think it has to be like, as I've said before. I think it's, you want to be the opposite of falsifying, like making an image for yourself that is something that you can't yet get to, which is uh, originality in your sincere music, or
Yeah.
sincerity in your original music.
Yeah. And there are people that are playing Coltrane licks and BB King licks and you name it. Um, and I guess that's great maybe for students to learn that stuff, but I think it's the point when you get past that and let it go.
I think as accidental teachers, I think it's important to help people get there faster, get to that point faster,
Okay, I like that.
get to the point of commitment that is really to it's a terrible and stupid and cheesy thing to say, but to commit yourself to the music that you're making in the hopes that it will help and benefit humanity in some way that musicians have always done.
Yeah,
That we've been, and since the commercial age that we grew up in, the
yeah,
commercialization of music age, there's been there's been a dumbing down of that. Like,
hmm,
people forget that we're supposed to be like shaman. We're supposed to go into magic states so that we can express something that could not be expressed in any other way. And
right.
that's fucking corny. But look at history. Look at every tribe that had culture ever. Like we were outsiders for a reason. There,
Mm,
maybe it wasn't always the right reason, but we're still outsiders, and we have to admit it to ourselves when we commit to it,
yeah.
and
I,
and, and enjoy it.
and I love that you mentioned that you were into Abercrombie for a minute and you were into Holdsworth for a minute, and everybody goes through that phase. And when I first heard you, I guess it was 87 or so, 88, somewhere around there. I had been listening to Alan and I'd been listening to Fripp, and I heard you and I'm like, oh, this is another kind of, like, I recognized it, but it was your version of whatever I thought that was.
Right?
And it was like, and since that period, we're talking 40 years now.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
That,
I got Charmaine and Randall at Co Records, who's as you know, I'm very, very happy to be a part of the group there at this moment
yes.
in time. I just love the whole thing. But Charmaine said, I want to put up something on the internet that shows how broad your work as a guitar player has been
Oh
over,
man.
over the course of your career. And I was too busy to help, although at the very last minute, which is like me, of course, I stepped in and I said, well, what about this? This is kind of cool. But she played a Don Cherry show from 1978,
I saw that.
78, 79. And I have seen that show, but I've never seen me playing that solo thing while Don was dancing.
Yeah, I saw that this week.
Dude, I saw that the other day and I went, what the hell was I doing? What was that? What was going on there? And I remembered very clearly that was the actual night when Don walked over to me while the Trelock, I think it was Trelock playing drums,
Yeah.
but Trelock was just cooking away. Bass players just like all over the place, like low notes, low notes, low notes. Horn players going, Marty's going, and I'm going at the same time. And Don just walked over to me and said, and it'll be a paraphrase because I won't be able to remember it exactly, but he just kind of whispered to me like he would do. He just said something like, "You're not even a guitar player. That's not a guitar. it's a Sarode and you are the Sarode. You walked away. Right. And with something just like that. That's how it came across in every
Wow.
way. Like, I permit you to now allow yourself to be yourself. And
Mhm.
no shit. No hippie shit, no nouveau psychotherapy unit involved. Just a guy saying, you can do this and you can be it. You are it. And that's it. And I was like, so I got so high from that. It was like almost like the opposite of egoism, because here's Don Cherry telling me, and it's like a little scary. It was a little frightening. He's walking over to me.
Sure.
We just came from England, where every gig everybody was spitting on us and throwing bottles of beer because we were playing for punk crowds, right? And here
Oh, wow.
we're in Paris, and it's very respectful of Don, and 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 that guy comes over to me and says that shit, and I just was like, I think there was a part of me that was like, well, that's a lot to live up to. And there was a part of me that was going, that's completely right.
Yeah. That's
That's
it.
how I feel. I
That's
could
it.
be any instrument. I don't have to think of this as a guitar. I don't. And it might be better for me that I stop just thinking about it as a guitar. And it was the thing that triggered me into moving more into writing with the guitar, using the guitar as a writing instrument,
Yeah.
which is, which is, I think it's strange for a lot of players. Like a lot of guitar players I know write on piano and then, and then, and then just transcribe for guitar, pick out things that don't work, and etc. I sometimes do the opposite, where I actually put voicings together on the guitar and then write them in for piano
That would be unique.
or whatever. I've done it quite a
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah.
especially scoring. But we got we shitters. Honestly, every time I have a conversation with somebody I like who's in the guitar world, who I know is ensconced within the music world, there is a conversation that is useful.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just relief for you and me. I think it's for those people who
Mm.
need to be in music for the rest of their lives. Look at us, man.
It's sacred, it's a sacred space. We use that word, but
No,
it's
I'm there with it. I think about it. I think about it as if I'm chit-chatting too much before a gig, and I'm getting distracted from the things that I might want to feel during the course of what's going to happen next when we get on stage.
yeah.
I get a little disappointed with myself and a little frustrated, and it'll give me a little distance from actually being there in the moment. I've
I
got to
get that.
like break through that. I think that's why sometimes before I play now, I really maybe like a measure of whiskey, like something very small, just to get that other stuff and the social things out, so that I don't have to think about it. I don't have to consider what anybody in the audience is doing,
Hmm.
unless they're bleeding or screaming. You know that it is about the moment of, for some people, like being in church. Um, It's that important, at least that important to me, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and so it's it's not cheese bowl to say sacred space. You
I
know,
don't think it is. Yeah.
no, it isn't because we don't have much time.
Yeah. Well, that brings me up to the question of the day, which is, here we are, 2026, I think it is, and the state of the world, and how important are artists and musicians and poets right at this moment in the history of the world.
Do you not feel this rise coming somehow?
Hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like it's getting. I feel like it is getting more important to people that
Yeah.
that they have an opportunity via music to relax into it, to be relieved by it, to become hopeful for it, or just coddled enough to, depending on what type of music it is and what they're. But I feel like the rise in importance is going to happen. I feel like that.
Hmm.
Dead fucking wrong if we keep if somebody invents a new version of Spotify via AI and other things that we don't want around, like data stations, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, things that take more than they give.
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to be too bright about it, but I do feel kind of hopeful in that way that I'm seeing more. That woman who told me the story of the entire set that we played after the gig,
Yeah.
who there was nothing in it for her except for the music, and you just go, yeah, see, people are hungry. People are hungry. They want to hear. My trip to Colombia, going to a place where every show was sold out. Every show.
It's an
4,
event. Yeah.
450, 450, 450, 450, 900. Every show, people stayed after the gig. Not not schmoozy, wanting to talk about music, wanting to, we're out by the merch tables and people just want contact with us.
It was a happening, right?
Oh man, I blew my mind.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a room, a messy room by myself all the time. I'm so glad that no one can see the floor of this room or my couch at this moment.
I've seen your couch.
Yeah, it's a little bit better.
I would describe it by saying that
I mean, Tim, it's a little bit better.
I would describe it by saying, like, when I visited you, like, Tim, there's just enough space on the couch for you to sit down, and the rest of the 3/4 of the couch is filled with pedals,
And the chair next to it.
stacked, stacked pedals.
Oh man, it's it's part of the journey for me.
So what is it about pedals? You've been the master of pedals forever,
uh,
and you've inspired so many people. You have people all over this planet.
I did start. Remember, in the rack system, as far as I know, there wasn't a 3-point stereo system being played in public by people before I did it. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't. I know who it influenced, and it influenced, rack builders in Southern California.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and like Pat, I brought my Matheny. I brought another level of lexicon to the lexicon. You know, uh, because I saw in both in the looping devices and in the reverbs. And I have had a lot of good fortune in this. The guy who designed the Primetime was a guy who was a huge fan of the band that I had in New York, and we were friends. And he was nearly a neighbor, and he designed the Primetime, and he brought it to me in Ithaca one
Wow.
day because he was up at Lexicon. He had just, I think he was still getting a degree at MIT, and but working at Lexicon and designing, and he brought this thing to me, and I went, wow, this is amazing. And I said, I think he let me have it for like a month. He came to Ithaca, he left it with me. Me and Andy Schlesinger used it and recorded with it, and then he came back to see his girlfriend in Ithaca a month later, and took it away from me. And he introduced me to Gary Hall, to who was modifying. He had begun modifying earlier prime times while also developing the PCM 42.
Mm.
And I think that was that that was a huge turning point. There was I heard Terry Riley play. It was an
Yeah.
unusual, unbelievable experience to hear all of Poppy No Good and the Phantom Band, for me, being played by one guy who's a composer. And I I knew people who debuted in C at SUNY Buffalo. The drummer in my band up in Ithaca was a part of the percussion school there, and they they as a student group they
Yeah.
performed in C for Terry
Hmm.
Riley. I heard that record. It blew my mind. I borrowed an MXR 2 second delay because I realized what was happening. I didn't really have the details about the tape decks, except I think my friend James Toomey may have hipped me to the fact that it was tape decks. And I was sitting with Andy Schlesinger in the studio, and he said, and I'm playing around with this 2 second. Whoa, MXR made a 2 second delay. This is awesome. I love this. And he said, I'm gonna put this Eno and Fripp record on. And I said, what's happening? And he goes, well, Robert Fripp is looping like you're doing now. And I said, please don't put it on. I said to him, please don't. I don't want that one. No, you got to hear a little of it. He plays a little bit of it. And I said, please take it off. Can you take it off? And I don't know if he ever understood this, but
Yes.
I was in the throes of thinking, what can I do with this? And I did not want to hear anybody else, especially a guitar player, looping, because
Exactly.
I thought, this is a path for me. This is a real path. I am going to find my way on this path. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to have enough money to put my money into this.
Yeah.
And I stuck with that. I didn't listen to Frippertronics.
Good.
And I heard it, I'd hear it once in a while. Somebody would be playing it somewhere, and I'd go, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, I said, yeah, but it's a lot better when you have PCM 42 and you've got 20 seconds of delay, and you can manipulate it in real time in 8 different ways in real time. You could just go forever. So
Yeah.
I think that the real beginning of pedals for me started before that,
Yeah.
but it morphed into rack stuff and then morphed back towards pedals until 4 years ago when an airline broke both my original PCM 42, the first modded one,
Yeah.
and a PCM 80 broke in a very well constructed rack.
Yeah. I
And
know that rack.
yeah, the armor rack, and I just went, okay, I got to find a way. I got to find another way to do this. I have to. I can't keep traveling with this stuff that's sensitive and takes forever and is heavy, and I can't do it. I have to find other ways. And dude, whoa! Not to mention,
Is this something new?
not to mention the blooper by Chase Bliss Audio, and not to mention, which I had something to do with a little bit, and not to mention Mood 2, which I had a tiny little bit to do with, made a couple of good suggestions for features, I think, if anybody uses them. But now I'm doing this.
Go.
I'm doing this because there's going to be like five. I think there are going to be a bunch of videos. I was up at Chase Bliss to work on this, which is this is called Big Time.
Big Time. Wow.
Big Time. And if you want to muck with time, including very flexibly advanced ways of looping, I mean, this thing is incredible. I just came back, as you know, from Minnesota, and they sent me this one in advance, and I didn't, even with all the buttons and switches, I didn't want to look at the manual. I felt like I was going to get lost in not understanding vocabulary. So I played it for 2.5 days at home. And when I say I played it for 2.5 days at home, I mean, the first time I played it, I must have played for 8 hours, and I stopped playing and I went, I don't know shit about this, but it's doing things that we started talking about 7 years ago at my house in upstate New York with Joel and Knobs, Scott Harper.
That's amazing.
And it went sonically, it went way beyond where I thought it would go. And I didn't know they were finishing the project. I had no idea they were finishing it. I think it started with this ridiculous, intense rant I wrote on the Gear page about big manufacturers of electronics for guitar players have stomped on looping and taken it into the past without catching up to the past to begin with. That was my whole rant, pages and pages of it, and then I put it on my Facebook page, and Joel and Scott called me one day and said,
Wow.
"Hey, can we want to have a visit?" I went, "Yeah, cool." And now this thing arrives, and these guys, with John Snyder involved from Electronic Audio Experiments up near Boston, he was involved, as well as the regular Chase Bliss and design crew. They just created something that has not existed. There are sounds in here that are for you to find, and it's not difficult. I mean, like I said, I was playing this, now it's been 2 weeks, and I just did, like, I don't know, we did a day of videotaping with me saying at the beginning, I don't know shit about this. I don't know how this is working, but I can play it already.
Sure.
And it's kind of mind blowing. I'm honestly blown away by not just the thing, but the people, who they are and what they did. It's unusual. It's expensive. I mean, it's relatively expensive. It's like $800 something, but it is so playable. And there are so many. I would have to say there are so many ways to have a very rich and flexible sonic texture under your hands that, I mean, it really feels like an instrument to me. I feel it's more like an instrument than I thought the Lexicon PCM 42 was.
Wow.
I'm gonna say doesn't feel like it. I feel that it is that.
Mm-hmm.
It has gone beyond. And dude, I just can't wait for some of my friends to just find their own shit on it. Really, you're just gonna go crazy if you do it. You're gonna go nuts. There are ways to distort and modulate the things that are in motion already, loops or just echoes, or even modulate to the point of doing things like ring modulating what you're playing that is quote unquote dry, right?
Yeah.
Just incredible amounts of detail and because it's you got these things, right?
Faders.
The faders, it makes at least a huge part of it visual. You can glance at this and in a within a couple of hours play you become accustomed to what's gonna try to do what when you start moving the faders around.
That's so cool.
They're playable, and so all these little switches or it's all, I don't know, it's just really fucking cool.
I imagine, it's like having a lot of Chase Bliss stuff. I just got the Lost and Found recently, and I've been learning that slowly, but it's on the board. And last night I had a concert, and I was finding stuff last night that I've never found before. And
Lost and Found is like has a version of Lossy in it and a little bit of Habit. Is that
yeah.
Did I get that right? Yeah.
There's a synth in there that I haven't really used yet, but some of the stuff that it does with delay and some of the really strange delay modulation stuff that you can just find by twiddling about. And
I think I see this one in the camp with that. It to some degree in the camp with the combination of a blooper and a together.
Sure.
Certainly Habit has had a big effect on the way the company sees time-based delays and looping, and I would say this is kind of tying all of these things together, but in ways that are much more sonically flexible.
Got
More. The amount of morphing of a sound that you can do, the kinds of feedback and feed forward that are built in the box allow you to do things with feedback where you've stopped playing and you're feeding back, and then you're manipulating the feedback here on the face of it, or with an expression pedal or MIDI if you want to go that way, that are just really unearthly.
Wow.
And they don't sound like anything else I've used a lot in feedback technology. I mean, I don't know if it's because there are so many crossing paths there, but these guys they just knocked this out of the park.
That's so great.
I'm unbelievableized. I have been unbelievableized. I was like, no, guys, what I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to say really fucking great things about you, and you're going to get sick of it. And they're like, no, well, I mean, God, I got to keep my mouth shut. but
I love it. I
I
love it.
I hope these videos are worthwhile. I think they'll show big time off in a way that's different than the previews, a bit different than the previews. Really, just attempting to play an instrument you don't know and get somewhere with it. You
I
know,
think that's the key, right?
for musical, yeah. I'm very thrilled with this. Want to see a fuzzbox since we never talked about any?
Yeah, we were gonna have a discussion on fuzz, but maybe we'll do a part two.
We should, I think.
But I'd love to ask you about what some of your favorite fuzzes are currently.
I have these two that I took out because they have become just again these are instruments that seem to be able to deliver sounds between cracks of the things that I already know.
Mm,
Right? And that's kind of what I do sonically is that I'm always looking for and it is it's an ongoing process that never stops for me. I'm always
yeah.
looking for a sound that uniquely highlights what it is I'm playing. Uniquely does that. Maybe even inspires something new to
Mm,
come out of what I'm playing. And I've always been this way with sound. And
yeah.
this, so this is a company, and one of my three favorites. We'll talk about two others of them at another point, three others of them. But this is a company called Emptyhead Effects.
Ah,
It's a one man operation. This is the Lover 2. It is nominally, you would call this an overdrive pedal. But if this is an overdrive pedal, this is the overdrive pedal that really, really, really looks into every potential crack possible. and and is inspiring and beautiful at the same time.
wow.
You can really find like these odd, smaller sounds that they're either misbiased or I don't know what's happening, but
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
very beautiful. And this is a little bit deeper. This is called the external internal, and it is nominally a modulation machine that has also the ability to derive distortion from it that is nothing like anything else I know.
Wow.
And at the same time, it's super pleasant. I use this on at the Sun Show, and and I used this on the brand new Son of Goldfinger record, which I'm very proud of, which will show up probably in January or February next year. I mean, I think it's the best thing we've done. Um,
What label will that be on?
I can't remember the name of the label because I wasn't involved in the business side. Um, it's a French label, and
Oh,
so
cool. That's great.
French label, and Tim. They found Tim, or Tim found them, and I am not mixing it. I'm doing one little overdub um, that Tim requested, that he wrote, and I'm interpreting. I'm doing one little overdub on one piece, and everything else is completely live. Yay! And 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 then I believe I'm handing it to Randall Dunn to mix. I decided that in a way I've taken on I took on too many mixing projects in the last 2 years, and things crash into each other. Other things happen, all the doctoring that I have to take part in, you know, or being doctored. Um, it became much, and I just thought, well, God, Randall's a better mixer than I am.
That must feel really great, though.
It feels really good. It feels
Yeah.
real good not to be the guy.
And to know that someone you can trust them and they're going to do their magic, essentially.
I had so little to say about what he did in the studio and in the mixing and with Ben Goldberg in the mastering.
Wow.
I I I almost had nothing. I came really close to nothing to say.
That says a lot.
I
That says
loved,
a lot.
I loved everything. Like maintaining clarity through the mess that I'm making, and and always being able to feel kind of a multitude of spaces,
Yeah.
more than one space.
Mm-hmm.
Is again, my mind. Those guys, I'm so happy to be there. I'm so happy with everything that they're doing, everything that they're trying to do with the artists that they're bringing in, and being there
Yeah.
for us. Can you make it to Roulette in Brooklyn on the 24th or not?
I'm not sure. That week is crazy. I have a bunch of gigs that week, and I might have a show that day, the 24th. I think I do.
Did we talk about this already? Because it feels like it's triggering a memory. Did we discuss this? Like when I was driving back from Philly 2 weeks ago, or whatever.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think about it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you have your great gig.
Likewise. I would love to come though, but I think the 24th, that's June 24th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. Cheers, dude.
Cheers.
Still got my hibiscus. It's a little warmer now.
Flipping onto a whole other subject matter, you've played with so many different people over the years and have worked with so many iconic people, and one of those being David Bowie, of course. And one thing I found out this week about you that I never knew, that you played on The Next Day. And I knew you had played on Heathen and Reality, but I didn't know you played on The Next Day. And so you ended up doing a lot of work with David, and I was wondering if you had any particular stories or recollections of the times when you worked with him.
I really liked. I really liked. I really liked the way that David let me into the space. Really, I really enjoyed that so much, and I have a real fondness for Heathen, because he really just opened the door and said go, and there were some things that I didn't do so well and some things I did extremely well, and it was one of, I'm not sure about Reality, but I'm not sure about The Next Day, but I open and close each Heathen the record,
Mm-hmm.
and Reality the record. It starts with me and ends with me. That I'm either alone or there's one other instrument playing, like in Sunday where David plays the synth, but the riff is mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That
is you.
Yeah, that electronic thing. That record really, both that and Reality were like amazing for me. Really amazing. Really so invigorating and inspiring. And he was inspired. On The Next Day, I had strange feelings about it, because David asked me to play in the control room because Tony wanted the band out in the room. I didn't want to be in the control room because I wanted to play my amp.
Sure.
I ended up playing a modeler on the next day, mostly playing a modeler, and I redid all those parts.
Mm.
I was allowed a 2 days of overdubs, right?
Which you used an amp on.
Which I used an amp on,
Yeah.
and wherever I could really nail it with the amp, I did that. but it was a strange record to do because, to be honest, I think I've said this to you before. I felt that David was really sick and that he did not really want to be in the studio.
Yeah. You were feeling that.
Yeah, I felt that he was ill. He was disappearing sometimes and coming back like gray of skin, and it would be random, and suddenly we're left alone to do something which wasn't normal unless it was one person thing. Like on Heathen in Reality, I worked by myself with the engineer a lot, and David would come in and we'd find a way to have fun at some point in the day. Right? Like just like do something completely out and eat really well. And it's strange. I really like the record, but I just don't feel like David was all the way there. I had one really big disappointment in which David came in and said, "I want to improvise this song. I'll show you the chords once, but I'm not telling you what to play. Everybody improvise." And I thought, he's here. He came back. He feels better. He wants to do this, and we're doing it. And I thought that the take was amazing. If one edit were made, one little edit were made, I thought, this is fucking unbelievable. Really. David Bowie improvising his lyrics, playing keyboards. We're all in the same room together. It was the only time we did it on that project, and I was knocked out. And it got knocked out. It got knocked out of the game. They did a version of it. Tony didn't. I don't think he just didn't like the vibe.
Yeah.
I thought it was fucking magical, and space everything, except Gail made a little goof on a bass, and I was like, just fix it.
Yeah, it's easy.
Just go fix it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have as much say as I had on Heathen and Reality. The whole band was there all the time. Right?
10 years later, right?
Yeah, and I was just really disappointed that never made it to the record at all. And they did a version that was very disappointing to me, or we did a version that was very disappointing to me. The only thing, the guy himself, I had so much respect for him that grew so fast when I realized how musically powerful this man is. This regular man with lots of problems and a real life, just how powerful he was in his music, his lyricizing and writing. Mind blowing, really. And I miss him. I feel like I started missing him during that last record when they did. What's the final record that he made?
Black Star.
Black Star. I felt like that was kind of. I just felt like David was trying to Recover Heathen on a certain level. I didn't play on it. It's not for any reason. At that time, David had said to me, Black Star was just about to come out, and he said, "Listen, we have something to do together again, and I think it's going to be in January." And then, of course, he passed away.
Yeah. I mean, we all had questions when that record came out, and we listened to it and it was like, wow, what is going on? And listening to the lyrics, the first night it came out, I think we listened a few times, and it was like, what is happening? And it seemed like 2 or 3 days later, he was gone.
Yeah, that was.
Then we understood.
It was that rough for me because I had to, as soon as he passed, I had to go back to the email from 2 weeks before.
Oh, wow.
Where he said, "We have something else we have to do together. We're going to start it in January. I hope you'll be able to make it." And I think, honestly, looking back at it, it was one of those things where I thought, when he passed away, I just thought, he wrote me that note knowing that he was going to pass away, and he just wanted me to feel good. He wanted me to have something from him, like a goodbye,
Mm-hmm.
So it's a strange email. I'll read it to you someday, but not in public.
Yeah.
I get moved by it because like I said, when I read it, I look like, it just looks like he was trying to do so much and letting go of so much all at the same time. A tough one.
Yeah.
Great human being. Really great.
So, when I talk to different creatives, one of my favorite questions to ask, segueing away from this idea for a minute, is the day in the life of a creative, and what is your day-to-day routine, if there is one? How early do you get up, and what's like your normal day like?
It's been changing. So it's been changing a lot. And honestly, I think it's been changing a lot because of all of this medical shit that I've had to go through.
Yeah, sure.
And which is normal for a person my age, I think, or relatively normal. But it's been a lot, and it's been scattered, and it's been taking up so much time. So I don't really have much of a normal day for me. In normal days is I come out and I work. I'm up at 5:16 or 4:12, mostly every morning.
Wow.
I don't like speak with anybody until unless there's an emergency. I speak with no one before 9 o'clock in the morning, because that leaves me the space to think about what I want to do. I have increased my guitar playing, as I did a few years ago when I realized that I had creeping arthritis in both hands. And I decided that the more I play, the less I feel the arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be stuck in a situation where I don't have a backup to my fingers. No backup. So now the thing is, pick up an acoustic, which is easy for me to do.
And you play early in the morning when you get up, when you first get up?
Yeah, I'll either think or I'll play.
Mm-hmm.
But generally it's play, and I tend to think in lower volume terms in the morning so that nobody dies. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes when there's a lot of real, like, logistically oriented work, like
Hmm.
in a mix session, I'll come out and I'll resolve a problem as soon as I possibly can.
Hmm.
And like I said, the thing that's really daunted me in the last, for having a real schedule, is seeing doctors. It
Yeah.
really it just takes so much time, and there there are good doctors around me, but they tend to not be so close to where I live because I live in the countryside
Yeah.
and not very close to the big cities. And so it really kind of increases. One, you're traveling more to get to the doctor and back. Two, they're probably not as well educated or as experienced as people are, like in the Philadelphia hospitals or in the New York hospitals or Boston or
Sure.
Cleveland. You know, but there are great people here too. But the whole thing just, it has been like just like continuous interruptions for me. And I, in my bad moods, react very negatively to all of this. I get frustrated and like, oh shit, now how am I going to make my deadline if I have to do this on this day and we don't know how long it's going to take and we
Mm.
don't know what kind of what's going to happen with this medication, you know,
Yeah.
and like it really is like I'd be happy if it were one thing. If it was just one thing and it was really bad, I'd
Mm.
probably be happier because I
Yeah.
could make a plan. You know, but the fact, probably, hopefully, this period is going to
Yeah.
end for me for a while.
Yeah. You've been on a journey for a while, and you're dealing with it, and you're handling it.
Yeah, and we got rid of the cancer thing. It's out. I'm fine for 6 months. I'd have to be checked every 6 months. And,
Sure.
you know, that was exhausting. The eye stuff. I had great news yesterday, and and I'm and I do have there is a disease in my left eye, but they said that there's a brand new therapy for it, and he doesn't want to see me for 6 months because he wants to see, before we start applying this new therapy. He said, I want to see how far it progresses in 6 months. So
Hmm.
that was
Sure.
totally positive. Oh
Yeah.
man! So now I can get out of a couple of things. There's a few things to go that are going to be time consuming, but if I had to have that operation yesterday or whatever day, 2 days ago or yesterday, whatever day it was, if they said no, you have to be operated on this now, I would have been out of work for a month
Wow.
without use of the eye and without good use of the eye. So now that really opened the door, and I think I should be joyous.
Be joyous.
You know,
Definitely.
uh, I know. Let's interview a guy who's so old, all he does is complain about his health or health in general.
Dude. So, in like your typical day, though, I mean, we're talking about getting up super early, and before everybody else is up and going, are you talking to anybody? You've already had 5 hours of creativity going on or thinking.
I like to know that I can have that space
Yeah.
in time. I really like that a lot, and sometimes I don't do it. Sometimes I lump out. This morning I lumped. I was just Linda woke up at like 3 o'clock. She went back to sleep at like 3:30.
Yeah.
I got up with her just because she got up, and it was pretty close to my waking up time. And she went and crashed, and I didn't want to wake her, so I was just quiet, and I didn't go out to the studio at all, knowing that I was going to do a lot of physical activity today. But
Yeah.
it was big.
And
Really.
do you work past late afternoon? Or are you done for the night kind of thing? Do you work at night?
No, usually most nights I am back in at work directly following dinner.
Okay.
And but I do try to make it so that I'm not losing family time.
Yeah.
And I do try to make it so that if I can be done at 10, then I get to see people. If I'm not done at 10, it means that I'm either really dedicated to getting something done because it needs to be done,
Yeah.
or I'm really dedicated to getting something done because I think it needs to be done. So, which is two different things, when you're working for other people, right?
Yes.
I can't, I've stretched out,
Deadlines.
so many deadlines for people that I feel terrible now saying I don't know when I'm going to end. I don't. I'm on a record that I really like, a pop record, and I haven't been able to get back to it because of the overlaps that occurred because of all this doctoring.
Yeah.
I just kept getting, oh shit, I told you I could do this by this date, and now here I am, like a lame ass, going, I can't do it because I have to sleep too. I need to eat.
It'll all happen. It'll all get done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, some worry shit.
Well, I think we're really close to the end because we've been in here for a while, but I have a few just really quick little things that I always like to ask everybody. And it's kind of along the subject of film and music and books, art, things like that, the kinds of things that you like. If there's a subject like some of your favorite books or authors, things that inspire you maybe in different realms.
I mean, I read every day pretty much.
Okay.
Right now, I've been in a Scottish, Irish thriller, and occasionally espionage thriller, probably pretty steadily for the last couple of years.
Wow.
Now, I have people around me because I got into crime drama like ages ago. I mean, like decades ago, really into it. But I have favorite books that I read still that I go back and read again. I mean, the Doris Lessing series of Canopus and Argos is really one of my all-time favorite books, as was in opposition to herself. She also wrote these 3 gorgeous books about uh, a brother and sister in Africa who have a dog and the world is ending.
Mm.
And that is a gorgeous series. And I've reread that a couple of times. I've read a few, especially the children's books of Salman Rushdie, quite a few times. And everything Neil Stephenson has written, everything that Ian Banks has written, including Ian M. Banks as his other author, other name, everything Benjamin Black has written, and I can't stop. I mean, I can't. So the easiest thing for me to read are mysteries. So the television show with David Bowie's friend playing the bad good guy, the really bad good guy, really good bad guy. Um, uh, Slow Horses. Have you seen that?
No.
It's something you should see.
Okay.
But the books are actually phenomenal.
Hmm.
But you should see it. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal, and has one of the greatest, shortest pop tunes written for it by somebody you won't believe. It's just so fucking cool. It's the as a series, a British series. It's pretty phenomenal.
Nice.
The song, and you first start out thinking, who is this? What the hell? It sounds like Mick Jagger almost. And by the time you're at a minute and 22 seconds when it's over, you go, that was Mick Jagger. It's so kind of coolly modern. Oh man, really great. Less than 2 minutes of pop.
That's Slow Horses, right?
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
It's a series. It's there are probably about 12 or 13 books. Some of it is quite nasty, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
Not particularly hopeful. So you got to know going in, you're going dark. Yeah.
Perfect for these times.
Who else have I been reading lately? Shoot, I was reading. I started rereading an Idris Shah book about the Sufis, but I haven't gotten really, really far in it. I read it maybe twice already in my life, and God, movies. I like watching them. I'm not a movie freak.
Okay.
I like being recommended to see movies.
Me too.
That I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Other Tim is like amazing for making recommendations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but just ask him dark or light. He'll never admit to. He'll never watch a period piece at all. Oh man. I don't know if this show is coming back. There was a series on I think it was a Netflix series or an HBO series called Étoile. That's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, and funny, and funny and very sweet, and also a little dark, but really gorgeous. Étoile, really fantastic.
I'll check that out.
That's a series about ballet dance. Ballet.
Wow.
Really beautiful.
Well, this has been an amazing hang, and we could probably go on for a few more hours or do a part 2.
Not without pizza, though, Tim.
I know. It's getting to that point.
Pizza, then a coffee, then a whiskey. Oh, wait. Where do you want to put the coffee? No, let's skip the coffee and go straight for the whiskey.
That's about the right time. It's 6:05 p.m. So,
is it now?
Yeah. Last question. And what's your advice? What's your advice for creatives right now?
Be yourself. Be real.
Beautiful.
Be sincere.
Yeah.
Don't pander. Don't pander to cynicism and sarcasm in terms of the work that you do. Do your best. Yeah, and don't give up. Gotta persevere. Everybody's got to persevere in one way or another. This work is special. We do this work special. I don't think we're a breed apart, but we are I still believe that we are in many ways outsiders, even though we may have like completely normal lifestyles. I think that what we do makes us outsiders, and
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's good. So like pump up the outsider shit. That's my closer.
There it is.
Pump up the outsider shit.
Absolutely. Thanks, David. It's been great hanging.
We knew this was going to be a good hang.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
so we cheated. We're cheating.
How so?
Just because we could hang anywhere at any time and it would be good. So it's different than doing like an interview, you know?
Yeah.
You're talking to your friends, you're talking to your friends, and it makes it easier to say exactly what you feel, you know?
Yeah. And we got into some stuff today. Like, wow, the whole first half of the show, if you want to call this a show, was talking about your ancestry. And
oh man, did I go too far? You
no,
can always edit.
no, it's what we learned, but no, it was all in a way of learning about why we are who we are, or why we feel the way we do, or whatever.
Yeah.
By searching to the back, you know.
Took me a good bunch of decades to get to the point where I really wanted to know, and wasn't willing to just say, oh, okay, it's just crazy, and walk away from it. I really wanted to know. I just really wanted to get more knowledge about who was who, like, and who's that?
Yeah. Well, this has been amazing, and I just want to thank you again for the hang. More to come. We got to do a fuzz. Got to do a fuzz hit.
Gear one with all the gear on.
Yeah, when you're all plugged in, we'll do a fuzz.
Plugged in again.
Searching for Sparks. Signing off with David Torn. Wow, what a fun hang.
That was fun, dude.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Bye.